Why did God tell Abraham to sacrifice Isaac? God was testing Abraham's faith and obedience. God appreciates faith, our belief and trust in Him, even though we can't see Him. This must have been a hard experience for Abraham, yet he still promptly obeyed God's command. How was he able to do this? On Abraham and Isaac's journey to Mount Moriah to sacrifice Isaac, Abraham said to his servants in Genesis, "We will worship and then we will come back to you." Why did Abraham say that he and Isaac would return? Abraham, who had past experiences trusting God, knew his promises always come true. God had promised Isaac would carry on the family line and bring future blessings to the world. When Abraham was asked to sacrifice him, Isaac had no children. Therefore, Abraham probably thought that Isaac would have to live long enough to have children, so if he did sacrifice him, God would resurrect him from the dead to fulfill this promise. In Hebrews, the Apostle Paul suggests Abraham's reasoning. It was by faith that Abraham offered Isaac as a sacrifice when God was testing him. Abraham, who had received God's promises, was ready to sacrifice his only son, Isaac, even though God had told him, "Isaac is the son through whom your descendants will be counted." Abraham reasoned that if Isaac died, God was able to bring him back to life again. Paul is confirming Abraham's thinking, that he believed God could raise Isaac in order for God's promise to be fulfilled. This also helps us understand why Abraham said in Genesis that he and Isaac would come back together. All of this might explain why Abraham could, even for a moment, consider killing his own son. It was only because of his strong faith confirmed by the Bible. This event reminds us of the sacrifice God made of His only Son, Jesus, on our behalf. Looking at what Abraham went through helps us to better understand the significance of what God went through in allowing Jesus to suffer and die for humankind's sins so that eventually they could have a relationship with God. So, why did God tell Abraham to sacrifice Isaac? It was a test of Abraham's faith and obedience. It was also a picture to help us understand how much God loves us and what His sacrifice of Jesus cost Him. Thank you for liking and subscribing.